Well, we're getting reports this morning that a tanker owned by the Iranian state oil company apparently has been blown up in the Red Sea. For those of you unfamiliar with Middle East geography, the Red Sea is not the Persian Gulf, which is where we normally hear about so much tension between Iran and their Arab neighbors. The Red Sea is actually on the other side of Saudi Arabia, because you know that Saudi Arabia is pretty much governs most of the Arabian Peninsula. Well, the Arabian Peninsula sits between the Red Sea on one to its west and the Persian Gulf to its east. And so this tanker was transiting the Red Sea, which is between Egypt and Saudi Arabia, probably heading up maybe through the Suez Canal. Now, this story is being widely reported. I saw it on, BBC, Reuters, Fox News, CNN, lots of the, the big online news sites. However, nobody is independently confirming this story. They're all citing, the Iranian state media. I assume they mean Press TV. I'm not entirely sure. I don't think they'd link back directly, at least the story I was looking at, but I assume they mean Press TV by Iranian state television. And so what that means is that when a news organization reports something like this and then bases their entire story on something that someone else wrote, they're not independently reporting that. What they're saying, they're reporting not the event itself. They're reporting that somebody reported that. If that makes sense. So that gives them plausible deniability. So if the story turns out not to be true, they're not staking their own reputation on it. They're just saying, hey, there's this other media organization which is making this claim. And so that's a red flag for me. Now, it may just be that it's too early and that we can't have any independent verification. But what the Iranians are putting out so far hasn't really convinced me that this attack is something that's actually happened yet, because there seems to be a lot of conflicting reports even from within Iran on what exactly is going on with this tanker, and just some suspicious stuff. So apparently the state media in Iran initially blamed Saudi Arabia, because this tanker was transiting the Red Sea, it was right next to Saudi Arabia. It makes sense if Saudi Arabia lobbed a couple missiles at it, which is apparently what happened. They're saying that there were 2 missiles fired at this tanker, which if they're saying missile and not torpedo, I assume they mean that it's some kind of fired from a plane or from some kind of land-based battery. Now, the Saudis completely deny doing this, which, even if they did, they deny it. But the interesting thing is that our Iranian state media actually started backpedaling on this claim that the Saudis were behind the attack, and now they're saying, well, we have to wait for the experts to decide what really happened. So it seems that, maybe, I don't know, was it just an overzealous, biased news anchor that decided to blame Saudi Arabia and jumped the gun before the government even gave him his official orders. Now, the interesting thing is that apparently the state oil company itself is not on the same page as the state media. The state oil company, and now apparently there's conflicting reports about this, and I don't speak Farsi, so it's hard for me to go into Iranian media and check their stuff. But apparently, some people are reporting that the national oil company, or whatever they call it in Iran, is blaming Israel and saying that Israel fired these 2 missiles at it, which I guess is just as possible as Saudi Arabia being behind it. Frankly, I don't. I don't think Israel has aircraft carriers or anything, so I'm not sure how the Israelis, would fly an F-35 or something all the way down there. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know what the ranges of an F-35. Maybe the ship was so close to the Suez Canal, maybe, that it was within the range of the Israeli Air Force and that the Israelis were able to hit it. I'm not sure, because we don't really have any tracking data on this ship, and that's the next really suspicious thing about this story, is that the ship that they're saying was hit, it was called the Sabiti, I believe is how you say it, Sabiti. It has no tracking data available since August, and, as a safety thing, all ships, even the military ships, leave their transponders on when they're in the water, and they're tracked by a global satellite system. And I imagine that this is, making sure that, ships don't hit each other and that they always know, where another ship is. But anyway, this boat has not had, its transponder turned on since August. So that would normally mean that this boat has not left port. Because anytime they're in the water, they're supposed to have their transponder on. And if this ship was hit in the Red Sea, like, Iran is claiming, you would think that we would see very recent tracking data from today that shows that this ship was somewhere in the Red Sea. And the inconsistencies don't end there. There's still one more point that is making me doubt this whole story, and that's that the pictures that the Iranian media released of this ship, the Sabiti, it does clearly display its name, so it is clearly, the Sabiti ship that they're talking about. However, they don't show any damage to the hull, which is strange if missiles were fired at it, because if they're missiles, you would think they would be above the water and that you would be able to see, some serious damage. And since the media is trying to play up that, hey, an Iranian tanker was attacked, you would think that they would, try their darndest to get a picture of the actual damage. But alas, none exists. So I'm not entirely sure what's going on here, but it doesn't look to me like this, is certainly something that 100% happened. I think that it's quite possible that this might be a bit of propaganda or disinformation. And again, I don't know why the Iranians would lie about something like this when it's, it seems like there's so many holes to poke in their story. So I'm going to wait for a bit more information on this. Interestingly enough, antiwar.com, which is my favorite aggregator of foreign policy type news, they are not carrying this story yet. So that makes me think that perhaps the editor over there, Jason Ditz, who's got his head screwed on straight, is suspicious of this as well and doesn't really want to, put fake news on his front page, and is probably waiting for a bit more confirmation. So I'm going to try and look a little deeper into this and wait for some more information to come out, but that's what we know for now. So if you gained anything of value out of this video, I'd appreciate you clicking that like button and sharing this video. And if you haven't already, please do subscribe, because I do upload every day and I'd hate to have you miss one. So I'll see you folks back here tomorrow.